What's up, Sports Talk Detroit? In this video, I'm going to talk about why the Lions should draft Kayvon Thibodeaux if they stick with the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. And as some of you might know, you might be thinking, I don't know how diehard you are on this channel, but if you watched our first mock draft, you know I selected Hutchinson in this spot. And I just put out a video a day or two ago about Aiden Hutchinson and why I wouldn't draft him with the number 2 spot. Because here's what I did. I did a deep dive into the film, and the positives for Kayvon Thibodeaux are out of this world, and I want to talk to you about them right now. So here are some of the reasons why I would stick with him at the number 2 pick. The size is similar, 6'5", 258. The dude can ball. There's no doubt about that. He has prototype size for a edge pass rusher in that spot. Not too big where he can't drop back in coverage, but not too small where he can't get where he doesn't have the strength to mess around with an offensive tackle in the NFL. So he has the perfect build for the position, long lead frame that can hold plenty of muscle. He also has a great first step and second step and third step, which allows him to get around the edge and to the quarterback. This is where I saw separation between Thibodaux and Aiden Hutchinson. I saw Thibodaux be able to wrap around the tackle or go inside, whereas Hutchinson either had to go through the tackle or he would run around the tackle but then have to double back to get to the quarterback because he didn't have the hip flexibility that Thibodaux does. And that's my next reason I would draft him with this spot. He has amazing hip flexibility. He can get low. He can bend around that edge, just like I said before. He has great change of direction. He's explosive. We already talked about that. It allows him to rush to the outside. It allows him to rush to the inside. I think of the 7 sacks that he had this year, 3 of them came on an inside rush, 4 came around the outside. So he is able to equally and effectively do both. Get this guy matched up against a guard at some point. Like, good luck. The next one is great speed. He shows finishing speed as a pass rusher and as well as in space against the run, coming off the weak side edge when they're doing a run play, maybe a zone play out to the outside. He can get to the running back. Hutchinson showed the ability to do this too, but Thibodaux is just a little more explosive, a little more elite. Here's the thing that stood out to me that was different. While he might be a little more raw in his hand technique, and a little more raw at diagnosing and reading plays right off the bat as an NFL defender, when Oregon asked him to drop back in coverage, which they did actually quite often, he more than held his own. And so I think the idea that he could even drop back in a zone coverage or something like that and make him even a little bit more versatile, that's something that is really, really helpful. In other words, when we're going through this, I think what you see is he does all things pretty darn well. He does all things pretty well. So I want to tell you why I have changed my mind. And I think this is fun. Like, as you go through the draft process, as you look at these players week after week after week, and me and Chris have been doing this for about 4 weeks now, after the season was done, maybe even 5, mock draft after mock draft, you start to understand what separates guys. You fall in love with someone at the beginning, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, maybe I just didn't see enough of that guy. And so when you have one guy that's in front of my face with Hutchinson every single week, and I'm watching him throughout the year, and another guy that I only watched once or twice, then obviously things are going to change when I jump into the film and see what happens. So my first thought and my first problem was his motor. But that's not my call. That's for Brad Holmes to decide if he's a player who's going to continually play hard in this league, and I trust that he can identify that. But the talent, it just jumps off the screen when you watch him play. It's different. And he's not even a fully finished product right now. And so his positives greatly outweigh the negatives. At first, my thought was I was going to go into this video and I'm going to give you 5 reasons the Detroit Lions should not draft Thibodaux. But the only two reasons that I could find were that his hand usage is subpar at this point in his career, and he's not great against non-zone run plays. Like, that's about it. Like, he's actually pretty good against the run. It's just when you have a pulling blocker, sometimes he doesn't see it coming or things like that. But that's because he's an elite athlete. He's trying to pin his ears back. He's trying to get to the quarterback. He's trying to make a play. So sometimes that happens. And one of them won't even be his job. In the system that we have here, his job is not going to be against the non-zone run plays to his side. Like, that's not going to be an issue for him. So I like this guy to be a solid pass rusher. I mean, I want you to think about this. We had Harris last year. He was a failed experiment up to that point in his career, but he was a first-round pick. So we knew he had some of that bend, not a ton actually, but we knew he had the speed. We knew he had the speed off the edge, and the Lions got him, and they took what was a rough career and made him an 8-sack guy this year. I think it was 8 sacks. Don't quote me. It was 7, 8, or 9, right? So they made him an 8-sack guy because they said, this is what you do well. Go do it. Are you kidding me with Thibodaux in this same regard? And he can learn as he gets older to do the other things. I was shocked by how well Harris at times defended the run. I was. So if they can do this with a guy like Harris, who had been proven not to be a good NFL player, imagine what they can do with a guy who has an even more elite skill set. I do believe Hutchinson is the more polished player right now, but it doesn't mean he's the better NFL player. He has a much lower ceiling. That's why I changed my mind. Thibodaux is a superior athlete. He's a better pure pass rusher. And as I'm watching the playoffs this year, like I do every year, and I get out of the Detroit Lions bubble every Sunday and I watch what good teams are doing well, it's one of two things. They either have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback or a Pro Bowl caliber pass rusher. That's it, unless you're the 7 seeds, and they got hammered. So don't even worry about it. That's what every team has. And while I think that Hutch can be good and he has the ability to do that, Thibodaux can be next level elite pass rusher, and it makes everything you do on the defensive side of the ball easier, because anytime he gets a one-on-one matchup, he has the ability to win it, whether it's against a tackle, a running back, a fullback, or a tight end. He has the ability to win it. That's why I say if the Lions stand pat at number 2, Thibodaux, for my money, right now, in late February, is the guy. Who do you got? Number 2. Do you agree with me? And if you didn't, why? But if you do, maybe I change your mind in this video a little bit. Tell me what you think. Comment below that subscribe button, and if you watched, especially till now, hit that subscribe button. It would mean a ton to us. It's super helpful. Go Lions.